everyone, and welcome to the new MVNO Business Models Virtual Forum. My name is Eva Campbell. I am MVNO Nation's co-founder, and I'll be your host for today. The MVNO market continues to transform and reinvent itself. Today we will hear from new and most innovative MVNOs in the market and learn what makes them unique. We will discuss how they innovate, scale up, ensure customer centricity, and adapt to the ever-changing market. For the full agenda, please see the link in the chat. This forum will be recorded. We will share the videos with you after the event. And finally, please remember to use this opportunity to ask your questions. You can type them in the Q&A box, which you can find at the bottom in the toolbar. But please note that all questions are public. Now, without any further delay, we will kick off our first session. Shiraz Abid, the Chief Commercial Officer at ICE Norway, will share Nice Mobile's journey to launch the first fully digital eSIM-only proposition in Norway with onboarding and service management in the smartphone app. A warm welcome to Shiraz, and over to you.
Thank you, Eva, and good morning, everyone from Oslo in Norway. Very happy to be invited. Very happy to be invited for this event. So we're excited to show a bit about our story. I will, around 15 minutes, talk about our really exciting journey for Nice Mobile. First of all, I will go a bit through what Nice Mobile is, and in what context we actually launch this really cool concept. So in order for you guys to understand the story behind the world's first fully digital telco operator, which we actually are, I have to talk a bit about the mother company and of Nice Mobile being ICE. So let's see here. There. Okay, so I will not talk a lot about this, but just to give you a brief context. ICE is the name of the company which Nice Mobile is a part of. ICE is also a brand in the Norwegian market, and we are an MNO. So we are basically building the third mobile network in Norway. Norway is a really concentrated market that used to have a duopoly. So it's a lot of interest for building up more competition in the market. And ICE was basically the answer to increased competition and better services for customers. Because 95% of all customers are with Telenor. I think everyone knows Telenor and also Telia. So ICE launched in 2015, and today ICE has, you can see the figures here. I will go through all of them, but ICE has just surpassed 800,000 smartphone subscribers. And Nice Mobile is so far a small part of that, but the ICE brand is getting pretty big in the market, around 13% market share in total, but almost 20% in the consumer market, which is our main focus. So just to give you a brief context about Norway and ICE, and then going to the next slide. Let's see there. In order for you guys to understand why we launched Nice Mobile, and I will talk a lot about Nice afterwards, we need to just understand the market context in Norway. So I don't have a lot of slides on the strategy, but we spend a lot of time understanding the market, obviously, and what's our market challenge. So obviously there are a lot of challenges in the market, but one of the main things that we work with every day is to get more people in Norway to switch their telco operator. As you can see on the left side here, there are 4.3 million subscribers in the consumer market in Norway. I'll be focusing on the consumer part today. Of these, only 780, so basically less than 20%, switch their subscribers or their subscription every year. So most people, they do not switch. And in order for, because ICE's goal is to grow, we have a pretty, hairy goal of having around 25% market share in a few years. In the consumer market, we have, like I said, almost 20. So we are going the right direction, but we need more people to switch. And this is also, the rationale behind Nice, because what we then essentially did is that ICE as a brand decided to launch a sub-brand. That's very uncommon for, challengers in market that ICE is to launch another challenger brand. So we spend a lot of time discussing, okay, should we not launch Nice Mobile? Should we just go through ICE? Should we launch Nice Mobile as a product line of ICE or as a separate brand? So we decided to go for a separate brand, and one of the main things there was basically to, let's see if this works, to do things differently. Because in the Norwegian market, I assume that's a lot in the other markets as well, or I know it's a lot of the other markets. It's a lot about price and quality. But as a challenger, we needed to, not create another ICE, basically cannibalizing ourselves. So we, spend a lot of time understanding, okay, where are the pain points? How can we do things a bit differently? And that's where we came up with a Nice Mobile concept. And the thing here was to see there. So the challenge was to attack the market through some value props that are not similar to the mother brands ICE. So we wanted to create a new low-cost, high-value brand, and we wanted to do it all digital, because Norway is a really digital savvy country with customers loving to use their apps and doing digital transactions and serving themselves. It's very common, to do payment services, to do a lot of your everyday needs through apps or through online services. But in the mobile space, there's really traditional, physical SIM cards, retail stores, stuff like that. It's still huge, and ICE does all of that. But we thought here's a big chance in doing things a bit differently. On the same time, we were in the middle of a transformation program when it comes to our backend and system part. So we needed to, do this in a totally different manner than, on the mother brand, and we needed to do it quickly because we needed to grow and grow fast. So what we actually did was to make a concept with focus on exceeding the expectations of today's digital savvy customers. And we wanted to do it 100% modern. So we actually launched this concept. I'll come back to what the concept is. 100% eSIM digital brand with focus on the customer experience. And we actually did this in record time, at least in Norway, it's a record time in only 3 months. So I will walk you through how we actually managed to launch a complete new brand within 3 months. One of the first things we did was, let's see, the clicker works here, there. So how do we implement a new telco operator in 3 months? So we established a framework. First and foremost, it was the strategy and the concept. We needed obviously to be compliant. We need to offer an acceptable customer journey. We needed things to work technically and offering to be attractive and profitable. So how do you do this in 3 months? And with the setting of this implementation, we are still implementing a lot of things. We launched a bare minimum product after 3 months. Was a lot of time pressure, but we actually managed to do it. And we also had frequent changes to the scope because we were working really agile, so we were working on the go. We had a foreign supplier of the app platform. In the northern part, Finland is our neighboring country, but still they speak a totally different language, and they're not sitting besides us. But we chose Moflix. It's a niche provider of this digital platform, and I'm so happy that we actually chose them and not decided to go with traditional BSS vendors, because that's one of the success of this brand and concept is actually the platform and the way my team works with Moflix. And on top of it, we needed to do this secretly, so the market actually didn't understand what we were coming with. But at launch, we actually this was in November 2021. So on the top of everything else, it was during Corona, so people didn't sit in the same office. But we managed to launch this really cool new concept within only 3 months. Being at least I have almost 20 years in telco, so I haven't done that before. I won't probably do it further either, because it was really tiring, but it was very cool to be out in the market for only using 3 months. So if we go to the next slide, we will see we introduced a fantastic product in my view, and luckily in the customer's view, where everything was 100% digital. Everything was based on eSIM. So basically, you could become a nice mobile customer within 2 minutes. What you do is you download the app and walk through the process. And so what we launched was much more comparable to how you do Netflix, how you do different types of services, but definitely not how you do mobile at least in the Norwegian market. So if you go to the next slide, I have a short video explaining, the concept that we are really proud of.
It's easy to get started with Nice Mobile. First, download the app from the App Store or Google Play. Then, create your profile. Registration is simple and secure. Identify yourself with your bank ID so we are absolutely sure that you are you. Nice Mobile is fully digital, so we use eSIM. That means there's no need to wait for a physical SIM to be delivered to you. Our app will automatically check if your mobile is eSIM compatible. Next, add your email. You choose how you want us to communicate with you. Now, select the mobile subscription that suits you best. Then, let us know if you want to keep your current mobile number or have us create a new one for you for free. Register the payment card you want to use. Your monthly subscription amount will be automatically charged every 30 days from the payment card you register. So, when you've checked that everything is correct, accept the terms and finalize your order. Questions? Check the frequently asked questions or contact us via chat. That's it. Once your eSIM is active, you can remove your physical SIM if you have one. Welcome to Nice Mobile.
Yeah, we were even awarded the Consumer eSIM Solution of the Year last year. We're really proud of that. And the thing, I think it's important to because this type of customer journey, like I said, we're at least in Norway, it's pretty common, and I know in other markets, pretty common to do this in when you download your streaming service or whatever. But in mobile, this was like a revolution in the Norwegian market. So like consumers were like, oh, why haven't we done this before? Because I'm so tired of getting the postpaid bill. I'm so tired of waiting in line for customer care, going to retail store or whatever. So we actually managed to do this fully digital. The only thing we actually changed, that was one of the learning, I will come back to learning as well, is actually that we implemented a physical SIM support for those not having eSIM phones, because the market trends are that you switch your phone less or not that frequent like you used to. So there's still a lot of phones out there not supporting eSIM. How we work every day is, I think this screenshot is really good that I got from one of the team members. Every day we work very data driven, looking at it like from like a funnel perspective. How many are onboarded, how many went through their KYC, stuff like that. So every day we try to identify the bottlenecks, and a really cool and fun way of working, and also implementing along with Moflix, our vendor, new features quite often, I would say, especially in a telco setting, quite often updating the app. And if we go to the next, see. there. So that's just a picture of we actually launched the physical SIM. Still, a lot of people, use the eSIM. So we encourage people to not use a physical SIM. But if they don't have the phone, then obviously we want to be able to serve them as well, because like I said, or often say internally, it's cool to have a good concept, but we need volumes. So telecoms is all about scale, and at least for now, we also have physical SIMs, and that's works perfectly fine. If we go to the next, let's see. Yeah, we also implemented this cool feature with the overnight delivery of physical SIMs. We have also partnered up with Vipps, as some of you may know, which is the Scandinavia's biggest, one of the biggest financial providers in Scandinavia. They actually merged with Mobile Pay in Denmark. This is actually the most popular brand in Norway, Vipps, for microservices, micropayments. All contributing to Nice being really modern and state-of-the-art product. And if we go to then the next one, see. Yeah, there we go. This is actually a slide from our vendor. From our vendor. It's if you could just go back. So I'm so sorry. It's just where the clicker here is a bit lagging. So if you go back to perhaps there. Thank you. This is a slide from Oflix. I think it sums up really cool what we actually have in the market and how we work with the platform. So we are leading the digital customer experience in the Norwegian market. We obviously measure customer satisfaction, and I believe that the NPS is by far the highest amongst the telco brands in Norway. Everything is in the app. You also do onboarding and service activation. You do your subscription management in the app. You even have customer care in the app. On the back-end side of customer care, we're using the same customer care as the mother brand. It's really efficient and flexible, but to keep costs down and to keep the concept very focused, we only do that chat in the app. Yeah, we obviously are very fair, no hidden costs, no prepaid vouchers, no bills, no nothing, no dependency to stores. And there's a lot of cool things we also can do in the platform. We are just about to launch member get member, for example, and stuff like that. Okay, so if we go to the next. Sorry, it seems to be lagging a bit. So let's see. So then going to the most important thing, the team. We spend a lot of time, how should we organize the Nice Mobile setup? Remember then being, like a sub-brand within ICE, the mother company. So we spent a lot of time, what's the operating model, and we landed on having a core team with these people, as you can see. Basically, my vision was that they can do like 80-90% themselves, and I believe that a lot of the work today is done by these fantastic people, and along with the provider, obviously, of our platform, Oflix. And we need to keep costs down, but it's actually really cool learning for how we actually can work really efficiently with your brand in the market. And going to one of the last slides now. Let's see. There. So now we are actually one of the fastest growing service providers or we are the fastest growing service provider in the Norwegian market. What are the factors? I was just talking about the team. For me, that's the most important thing. Them being able to have motivated, skilled people, and not too many, to be honest, because then it also drives complexity. We are really customer centric. That's every day, like I said, we measure the pains in the customer journey. Supplier relationship is key. We are really happy we chose different supplier for this versus our mother brand. The way of working, I was, links very much to the customer centricity. I think one of the key things I've learned, at least, is we need to invest, and we need to invest in growth. At least, from ICE perspective, we are a growth company. We need to grow market share, and then we also need to invest in product development, invest in the marketing and brand. Because in Norway, like I showed, 62% of Telenor customer being the incumbent, they've been customers for more than 10 years. And so you need to, make your brand famous. And obviously having a lot of organizational support, not, being something like a project that nobody cares about. This has top management priority, and I report, to the executive team every month on, the stats of Nice Mobile. And just my last slides, the key learning, it's being a bit patient. That was actually one of the things I wish I had done a bit differently, is that I had too high expectations in the start of getting volumes, but things take time, especially in this market with being duopoly, and you need to balance your Nice Mobile brand with the ICE brand. So just be a bit patient. Obviously, for us as a growth company, that's always sometimes a challenge. But now I think we are much more on the right spot, being understanding that things take a bit of time. But now we are growing, like I said, like the fastest service provider in Norway, and really happy, with the growth and the momentum we have and the plans going ahead. So that was, I think, my last slide. So to sum it up, we launched the first fully digital concept in the world. Really happy with having a differentiated concept, and we are working on scaling and growing, and have a really good momentum in the market. Yeah. So thank you everyone for listening out to the Nice Mobile journey.
Thank you very much. It was such a smooth customer journey. Thank you so much for sharing. We have a lot of questions that popped up during the session. So if we can try and answer with a couple of sentences each so we can get through them, that would be great. So let's try.
Shall I read the questions as well, or will you?
I'll read the questions, no problem. Are you planning to open up the ICE network to other MVNOs or other markets in the region?
We're definitely open for that. We are currently building I forgot to say that, but ICE has state-of-the-art non-2G 3G network. We only have 4G 5G. We are building that out and plan to have national 5G coverage within a couple of years, and we have a lot of frequencies, so it's a lot of space for for traffic. So we're definitely when the time is right, we can open that for other MVNOs as well.
Thank you. The next question from Avi: what your app offers? Is it only customer care portal?
The Nice Mobile app is basically the everything. You sign up there, you do customer care there, but you also upgrade, downgrade, pay everything through the app. So it's not only customer care.
Thank you. ICE and NICE share the same OSS BSS stack or a different one?
It's the key part of the Moflix, like I said, the vendor that's Nice Mobile only, and we have a different BSS systems on ICE, but we share some of the same value chain. So it's not officially like an MVNO, it's more like a sub-brand.
Thank you. Another question: how do you check if the mobile handset is eSIM compatible, and how do you differentiate between 4G 5G NSA and 5G SA eSIM capable handsets?
Actually, we have I don't have time for the process, but we have some processes running in background to check the compatibility of eSIM. So it's a really cool feature for the customer, and if they have it, then they can just have eSIM. If they don't have a compatible phone, then they are offered physical SIMs.
Understood. Another question: how long takes eSIM profile to be active in Norway after subscribing?
It's basically immediately. So the thing about what takes actually a bit of time in Norway is the porting process. So basically everyone having a number or having a phone or a subscription, they need to move it to NICE, and that process is through a third party. That takes a bit of time. But the eSIM profile is basically on the fly.
Mm-hmm. Another question relates to marketing. How do you acquire new clients? What are your marketing activity to support your growth?
We spend, like I said, one of the key learnings and focus is to invest in the growth, and I'm really happy to invest it. So we are doing a lot of digital. We have actually also started some out of home and some sponsoring and trying a lot of new stuff to gain insights and learnings. And but one of the key things is that at least in the Norwegian market, things don't sell themselves. You need to invest in marketing.
Another question: how did you convince Vipps to partner with you?
Yeah, I think that's really cool because it's Vipps is really everybody knows Vipps in Norway, and they basically they also have their own mobile operation, but which they actually sold to ICE, their mother brand. So we also started there, having good conversations how we can partner up, and they loved this digital concept. They are obviously also an app, so they said that this is by far the coolest, mobile concept in the market or everywhere. So they wanted to partner up with us. So that's I'm really proud of that and what the team has achieved there.
Certainly very innovative. Joachim says, what were the biggest challenges when implementing NICE model?
How much time do we have? It was a lot of challenges, but it was a lot of fun as well. Basically, it was, the short timeline. 3 months is really quick, and it was important for us to launch, to be out of the market, but also accept, that it's a sort of like an MVP or at least a pilot. It was, getting everyone on board without, it was a secret project. So we learned a lot, organizational wise, how to do projects with high sensitivities. So both good things and bad things, to be honest. Yeah.
We've got 3 more questions. So very quickly,
fantastic.
Question from Nolan. How about when people need to port their numbers to NICE Mobile?
Basically, in the app, you choose if you want to port. Most people want to port their number because they want to keep it, and then there's a process going in the background with, like I said, the third party. And if you have eSIM, that takes not too long. And if you need the physical SIM, then it can take some days. So, but everything is automated in the background. So the only thing the customer needs to do is to put in their physical SIMs if they choose a physical SIM. If it's eSIM, basically you are more or less on the fly.
Mm-hmm. I think the questions keep flying in, so let's do another maybe 2 or 3, and then
marketing I actually answered, or so perhaps some
it's possible.
some
yes, you should be able to type in answers directly to our delegates.
Okay.
Let's try with one more. We have a marketing question. I'm a marketer, my background, so I'm very interested to hear answer to that as well. What was your initial go-to-market marketing strategy to acquire customers?
When we launched it, it was, like I said, it was sort of it wasn't fully developed, and we actually spent a lot of time, both cleaning up in the background and back end, and gaining learnings. So we didn't spend too much time or too much money in the start. And I really like this way of working because you test it and you learn again insights. And it was actually like only 6 months ago, after almost a year, where we really pushed the button. Now we need to grow. And since then, because then we were, this concept is good enough for the market, or more than good enough. And since then, we've been growing really, really well. So I think one of the key things, especially when only using 3 months, you need to be a bit careful not going too broad too early.
Yeah. Thank you very much. We have another 10 questions here. So Shiraz, you're able to just type answers directly to reply to our delegates. But thank you so much. A very inspiring story. Thank you for joining us today.
Great. Thank you. Nice for you guys to invite. So thank you.
Our next speaker is Martin Kiewit, CEO at OpenCloud BSS. Martin will share insights on how to define the best strategy for your business to thrive in e-commerce and how to implement it. Hi, Martin. The stage is yours.
Hi, Eva. Thank you very much. So yes, I'm Martin Kiewit, the CEO of OpenCloud BSS. I've been working in the telecoms industry for over 15 years and always worked between IT and business departments, which I think is the coolest place to be. I've worked for different operators on the operator side and also for different solution vendors. And in 2018, we decided to start our own BSS company. So we could take all the lessons we have learned, things that went well and things that didn't go as well, and help them implement them for our customers. Today, I'll be talking to you about how e-commerce is changing in different markets and what you can do to take advantage of that. I've also promised Eva I won't turn this into a sales story of our platform, but hopefully provide you with some information that you can use regardless of who your solution provider is. So let's try to make it generic. So let's see if the slide flicks works. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, so talk about the changing phase of e-commerce. So on the next slide. Yeah. So in the coming 20 minutes, I'll be talking to you about trends, strategy, and implementation. What has changed after the pandemic? How should or could you define your strategy and your USPs? And perhaps the most important one, how do you implement this in a way that best fits your organization? I think one of the nice things from Nice Mobile, I love your presentation, Shiraz, is they went into an agile way. And I think also what I take from this story is it's not a one-time implementation. It's agile, it keeps continuing, it keeps improving. So yeah, from that perspective, I think it's great. And also e-commerce is not only something that you do on a website, but also, as Shiraz showed us, very clearly something that you do in your mobile app. So whatever we're going to talk to about this today, applies for both websites and for your mobile app also. Okay. So on the next slide. So let's start with some facts. What do the facts tell us? And it shows us what is happening in the world. So the impact of the pandemic on customer behavior is clearly visible. In this case, in the UK, 71% of the UK customers are now buying more online than before the pandemic. And this number has steadily increased over time. You can see in March 2020, it was 41%, and in February 2021, it was 71%. Online purchases are now part of everyone's daily life. People that used to be digital avoiders, also elderly people, before the pandemic, are now purchasing online. MVNOs can just not afford to not have a strong online presence. And if you look at the charts on the next slide, then another interesting fact is that more than 50% of the customers are using a wallet, either Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal, WeChat Pay, or maybe mobile money if you're in Africa, to make a payment. Again, I think Nice Mobile showed that a lot of their payments are actually going via these type of channels. If we look at different e-commerce sites, Amazon, for example, they typically provide a range of payment options to suit the needs of their customers. Yet, when I look at sites of different operators, they still only provide a single payment option. I believe that's a missed opportunity. Your customers prefer to use their own preferred payment option to pay for their purchases. This, of course, is also heavily depending on the market where you're operating in. So if you're in the UK, it's very common to pay by credit or debit card. However, if you're in the Netherlands, there's a payment platform called Ideal, where you effectively use your own bank mobile app or website to try to complete the transfer and the payment. In many African countries, they prefer to use mobile wallet, and for payments, and in China, most people use WeChat Pay. So payments is definitely not a one-size-fits-all, and the traditional behavior of telcos of offering a single payment option is no longer suitable moving forward. So how do operators perform when it comes to customers abandoning the shopping cart somewhere in the process? I would be very interested also to see from Nice Mobile how it works over there. I think it's extremely impressive to reach 800K subscribers in a reasonably short period in time using digital only. In general, almost 91% of customers who add something into a shopping basket do not finish their purchase. Just imagine all the money spent on getting customers to your website for them then not to complete their purchase. What if you could reduce the percentage of abandoned orders and be on par with, for example, consumer electronics? And that's already a highly price competitive market where people typically shop around between different websites. So what would this do to your return of investment for marketing, for example? So let's have a look at the abandoning reasons. So why do customers abandon shopping carts? And these numbers are coming from the US, but they hold true for most parts of the world. So perhaps there are issues in this list that you would recognize from your own e-commerce platform. Actually, I recognize a couple of them as strong points, USPs, on the Nice Mobile website in one of the last slides. So, for example, do you charge your customers for delivery or any other hidden costs? You can see over here 48% of customers abandon because of that specific reason. Any hidden costs that appear, how transparent are you in your pricing? Next one, how fast do you deliver? eSIM, of course, instant delivery, but what if the customer also wants to purchase a mobile device? What are your delivery options? How fast can you deliver? Are you on par with what customers are expecting in your market? Is your checkout process optimized to capture only the data you really need? Don't have too many steps in a long and complicated checkout process just because marketing wants to capture all kinds of additional information to build up their marketing database. How do you balance that part? But also, what is the uptime of your website? Is your website actually available? Does it run on up-to-date hardware in your infrastructure? So can customers rely on your website being available? So this list might help you to prioritize some of your existing improvement initiatives. These are some numbers I guess you could potentially use to see where you can improve. Now we have seen some customer behavior and expectations, as in what they do like and do not like. Let's have a look to see how this would work and how it inputs your strategy. To define your strategy and your unique selling points, there are a few steps to work through. What is your brand identity? What are your current distribution channels? And also perform a competitor and market analysis. And when you then start combining all this information together, you can start to define your unique position and the experience that will match with your brand. Let's start with brand identity. So one of the reasons people abort the baskets, as I showed on the previous slide, is 18%, is because people do not trust the website. So making sure that your website, effectively your shopping window online, provides an experience that your customers expect from your brand. If the Apple website, for example, would take you to a 25-step sales process, it would not fit with what I try to achieve as a brand, the simplicity and user experience. You would just not recognize it to be an Apple website. You would not feel happy with that website. It doesn't match with your expectations. If the Coca-Cola website would be all around a blue color scheme, you would think you're on the wrong website. Yep. The color doesn't match with the brand. It doesn't match with the identity. So those even small things are important to get right for yourself. Understanding your brand identity and how your customers see you and what they expect from you are important to then expand this also into your website. It is key for trust and key to be recognized. This part is then the input for your desired design. How should your e-commerce website look like, your customer experience, and also the customer journeys you should implement. If you're a no-frills brand, there should be a no-frills checkout. Yeah? If you're a high-value brand, then also your website should show the high value that's associated with your brand, as an example. Then, distribution channels. So, do you have an offline presence or are you digital only? Like Nice Mobile, Melon Mobile, who will be after me with Kelvin in this situation, they are online only brands. But maybe you're just starting to add e-commerce to your existing channel mix. And what is your current channel mix and where would you like to go? So depending and defining how your distribution channels will work, maybe at this moment you're highly reliable on third-party resellers. And you pay a lot of commission for them to resell your SIM cards into your customer base. It might be very beneficial of moving at least part of that sales activities into your own website. You've got more control with your customers, you get better communication channels, and you can also save quite a bit of money from a commission perspective. But what's important is you can't do this overnight. It has to be done with a strategy where you slowly move from one channel mix into the next channel mix. If all of a sudden you'll take away all sales from your third-party resellers, if that's 80% of your sales, 80% is gone. And it will take you time to rebuild up your online channel. I think one of the lessons from Shiraz was also that the expectations for the first couple of months on customers onboarding was too high. They didn't go as fast at the beginning as they were expecting. So you need to make sure you keep those things in mind when you design your channel strategy. Now we've put a baseline together, we've got a brand identity, we've got a distribution strategy. It's now time to start validating and enhancing what you've come up with so far. Of course, the reasonable thing is to start with your competitors' website. So what is it that they offer to their customers? And what can you learn to differentiate and tailor this on your own target customers? But what I believe is even more important is identify the biggest e-commerce players in your market. Might it be Amazon as an example? Then in that case, your customers do not only shop online with you or with your competitors. The majority of their sales experience will be done via different e-commerce brands. Online shopping is a big thing in there. So what is it that those e-commerce platforms are offering to their customers? It's very easy to see in, for example, Amazon, the delivery options that are being offered to customers. Pickup, drop-off point, delivery at home. Can I select a window up front, or can I only select a day? So what are the delivery options, delivery periods, but also the payment options. So the payment options offered by standard e-commerce platforms, the big players, is what your customer also would expect from you. Same for purchase journeys, the experience that's being provided to your customers on a regular basis. This is what they will expect from you. This market analysis will provide you with the insight to sharpen your journey and the experience you'd like to give into your customers. So once you bring all the information you've gathered in the previous 3 steps together, this will then allow you to make the choices that will have you stand out from your customers. Provide them with a recognizable website, simplicity that matches your brand in the whole journey and experience, and also then the experience they expect from you, delivery and payment options that they recognize from other e-commerce providers. With all that information, you can now start designing the journeys for your customers and how the look and feel of your website to work and should look like. So now we've defined strategy, your USPs, but what about implementing these changes onto your website? If you could start from scratch, and that's not always the case, I'll touch upon that a little bit later, but if you could start from scratch, there are effectively 2 options to start from. It's either build your own platform, either from scratch or using standard COTS products as an underlying capability, or buy an out-of-the-box ready-made e-commerce platform. You could buy this out-of-the-box platform from either your BSS vendor or use something as Shopify, for example, as a ready-made platform. And as with anything in life, there are pros and cons for each of the options. Let's first look at the build your own option. It's a great way to have maximum control over the journeys and customer experience you would like your customer to have. It allows you to build something extremely unique for your customer. Besides the integration points you will have to work with from the underlying systems, there is no limitation on what you can do. You still have to do number porting in a way that it will support number porting. There's not much you can change over there. But when it comes to the look and feel, when you capture the information, where you capture the information, and how you drive the customer through the journey is completely up to you. The downside is obviously that you will have a unique solution, which means you have to do it all yourself. So it's harder to get lessons learned from other implementations. There are no features built for you on the roadmap and delivered to you as standard when it comes to buying a product. And it's also usually the most time-consuming and expensive option. If you want to provide a very unique experience to your customers and you do have the time and budget available, this is the way to go. This works, and any BSS vendor will provide you with their APIs, which you can connect to. But this is the way to go when you want to deliver this unique experience, if that is part of your strategy and where you'd like to go. Then the out-of-the-box platform. This is typically the fastest and cheapest solution to deploy. The license fee for the platform outweigh the effort and cost required to build similar capabilities yourself. It comes pre-integrated with your BSS system and or other third-party systems as payment providers, logistics companies, etc., which will also save time and cost. The obvious downside of this option is the more limited control you as an operator have on look and feel, and also on the user experience of your customers. It's also, if you want to make changes or request changes from your vendor, you might rely on the roadmap process of your vendor, which might not align with your priorities. If your strategy defines that you do not need a very unique experience, but something that is strong, good, reliable, and you've got time and budget constraints, then of course, this is the best way to go. It's a solution that works for many companies, but you really need to balance and figure out what's the best solution working for yourself. But like I said, it's not always an option to start greenfield, start from scratch. Nice Mobile had the good opportunity. They launched the brand. They were completely new. But if you have an existing MVNO, you've got an existing e-commerce platform, then what are your options there? Well, of course, there are plenty of things you can do to look and to achieve improvements. If you go back to the list of why people are abandoning their shopping carts, that could be the starting point. And of course, I would always suggest do your own surveys to make sure that you've got the information for your customers, why your customers are abandoning their shopping carts, how's your process, what are you doing, what could you optimize from that perspective. So maybe integrate a payment provider that offers your customer with multiple options to pay. It's usually not that complicated anymore. And usually only a single payment provider can provide you with the different payment options to your customer. So you don't have to integrate to 3, 4, 5 different payment providers yourself to be able to offer that. Enhance the look and feel of your existing website in line with your brand identity. Do your customers recognize your brand when they go to your website? How do you use your website as an advertisement plate, as a shopping window online for your customers? And also you can start for making changes and tweaks to your existing processes and customer journeys. Do we gather any information in the journey that's not really required? Can we remove it? How can we simplify the steps? Can we combine steps potentially to make it into less different screens the customer has to go through? So there are many things you can do to start building and enhancing the experience for your customers. And like with most things in life, running a good e-commerce solution is a journey. And it's definitely not a one-off activity to get done and over with and forget about it. This is something you typically can do with your CRM platform, maybe even with your point of sale and your order manager, but your customer-facing parts require continuous improvement and attention. Looking into what are the new trends, your customer expectations are evolving based on your competitors deploying new features and enhanced processes, new technologies become available, and it's also important to keep an eye on that part and implement the features that make a difference for your brand and your customers. That's it from my side. I thank you very much for your time. And if you want to know how we can help you with your strategy or implementation of your e-commerce platform, of course, feel free to reach out. Back to you, Eva.
Thank you so much, Martin. It's very comprehensive. We have a couple of questions from the audience, so let's go through these. Do you advise your customers which payment method they should include and how to design the offering depending on the market they operate in?
Yes, so we typically work with our customers in a very similar way as what Nice Mobile describes. So we've got the luxury that we don't have a lot of legacy on our platform, so we started fully from the cloud. And with the experience we've gained over time, 15 years in telco, we typically work with our customers to define their offering, their propositions, but also indeed which payment methods you'd like to use. We've got a preferred payment provider, as you have integrated into our platform, and they will provide our customers with this range of options: card payments, ideal payments, Google Pay, Apple Pay, PayPal. So effectively the whole part of payment options is fully available and can come pre-integrated. But if customers want to bring their own payment providers, of course, it's also up to them.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Does your platform allow flexibility to switch between different payment methods?
Yes. So like I said, we have a preferred payment provider, but we've also integrated other payment providers, a prepaid balance from an online charging platform. We've got an integration with mobile wallets in Africa, which is a mobile phone number based account that customers have. So yes, different payment options are offered to our customers depending on the scenarios.
Perfect. And one final question. Do you know about any examples of how MVNO could partner with e-commerce platforms to enhance their strategies?
Well, I think in the previous speaker, Shiraz gave a great example from Nice Mobile and how they worked with their vendor very closely to get us together. I think Dot Mobile in Canada uses Shopify as part of their solution. So I think that's another example where it's a great example. And I think next speaker, Kelvin, will be speaking about his relationship with his vendor on how they've launched Melon Mobile in a very short period in time. So I definitely believe there's a lot of different examples out there.
Thank you very much, Martin. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Eva. Speak to you later. Bye-bye.
Speak soon. Let's welcome Calvin Collett, CEO at Melon Mobile, who will be interviewed by Justyna Topczewska. Now, this session will introduce Melon Mobile and its journey to become a one-stop shop service provider for different customer groups in South Africa. Hi, Justyna and Calvin. Warm welcome and over to you.
Thank you, Eva.
Thanks, Eva.
And good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending where you are joining from. My name is Justyna Topczewska. I've been following the MVNO market in different capacities since 2014. And now I'm very pleased to support MVNO Nation, and I'm even more pleased to do this interview with Calvin and to hear more about his exciting brand. So let's start. So Calvin, thank you for joining. And could you please tell us more about yourself and your brand, the new launch you did?
Thank you. Yeah, it's been an exciting journey. It's something we're working on for the last 3 years, and the last 2.5 years really making sure that the tech works. It's got its roots in the fact that we wanted to build. So if you look internationally, a lot of B brands are being built, and that makes a lot of sense. And we felt there was an opportunity to actually go and build an MVNO that was focused on going up against the MNOs, but in a digital fashion. Because I don't know about the rest of the world, but certainly in South Africa, most of the MVNOs out there are actually just rewards programs. So they're not focused telco plays. So you can't actually get the full benefit of the MNO or telco services because the rewards place. So unless you're part of those rewards programs, you don't get access to the features. So we wanted to change that up. We wanted to make sure that there was real value. And I think COVID also was a big push. The whole mindset of people change, from ordering physically into a store, now actually ordering online, getting your groceries delivered, your clothing, etc., etc. It fast tracked that mindset a lot. So it really helped us. And I think the timing of all of this was fortuitous, and we're excited about the launch. I mean, we're 3 weeks in now, and it's going extremely well.
Perfect. Well, actually, that's exactly what Martin just said about the change of the mindset during COVID, and how it really helped with the digital strategies, and really move things forward in a much quicker way than it would. But could you tell us a bit more about your target audience? So we know it's quite broad. So can you tell us more about this?
Look, in short, it's 18 to 45-year-olds, digital and tech savvy. But the very broad target market is anybody with a smartphone and a bank card. Ultimately, you can take up the service. So and look, in South Africa, we've got about a 60% smartphone penetration. And there is a fairly large underbanked market in South Africa. So those are customers we're not looking at. But the target market is broad. And what we are offering the market that nobody else is doing is fully customized packages. So the ability to choose your own data through sliders, how much voice you want through sliders, and the ability to actually change that. So you can change it whenever you like. And it's all on a subscription basis. We get a lot of questions around, are we prepaid? Are we contract or postpaid? And we're neither. We're right in the middle. We're subscription based, much like a Netflix or any of those kind of product sets. And those are big differentiators. And I think the last differentiator is the fact that our data and voice does not expire. So you really got the flexibility to choose how much data you're looking for, et cetera, how much voice you're looking for. And then it's not going to expire. So you don't have to have the sort of minimalistic mindset around data utilization and saying, I need to buy a gig and make sure I utilize that gig before the expiry times. You can afford to buy 5 gigs, and if you don't utilize it, it'll roll over, no problem. So just trying to change the behavior of the audience out there. And it's going to take some time. I mean, we're seeing it in our data so far is the behavior isn't changing. So people are still buying, 1 gig at a time, etc., versus saying, go and buy 5 gigs and let it run through. But that's a trust that'll come. It's a behavior that'll change. So it's we're very comfortable with that, with the disruption that we're doing and the changes that we're making.
Okay, perfect. And you are targeting students, travelers, influencers. So we've got a lot of different niche markets out there. Was that by design, or as you said, your platform is so flexible that then you realize that you can target those different pockets because of that flexibility? What came first?
Well, so what came first was the flexibility. So because it was so flexible, we thought, but there are going to be audiences out there saying, geez, I have no idea how much data I utilize. I don't have any idea how many minutes I utilize. So let's create some niche packages that would suit certain audiences. So if you're unsure about the flexible side of it, we'll give you packages that are pre-configured. And then once you do have an idea of your consumption and utilization, then you can go back and customize your package. So it was really to assist the buyers in saying, well, we're not really sure. We're not sure how to fit this very new concept where you can mix up your voice and data as you wish. So we were there to assist, and that's really the reason that those constructs exist.
Okay, makes absolute sense. And your customer journey design is fully digital. So we've heard in the first presentation, from Shiraz and Nice Mobile. Now we've heard from Martin as well about the e-commerce, different platforms and configurations. So could you tell us a little bit more about your customers' digital journey? What does it look like?
So this was really important. It's something we spent a lot of time around. I find that most customer journeys are based around the business rules or the business and around the customer. So we try to base this 100% around the customer. So what is the most frictionless way of getting that customer sign up. And it's something Martin said is, the abandoned carts, telcos sitting at 91% abandoned carts. My view on that is because telcos have the worst customer journeys. They don't focus on the customer. It's how do I make sure that it works for the telco, works for the business, not how does it work for the customer, and hence the high abandonment rate. So we're trying to make sure that there's as little friction as possible so that we have as little abandonment rate and then a higher uptake. So our entire journey is, you get started, you build your own package, select what you want, you can self-recon online, pay, and then, so our entire journey from start to finish, you can build your own package and be live on a SIM card within 5 minutes. And that was a stated objective up front, and we have achieved that. So, we're very excited with what we've done, very happy with what we've done. But it's really just trying to change the way things are done. Telcos are not at 91% for nothing. If you go through a telco journey, it is super frictionful. It's madness, and it's unnecessary as well. So that's what we're trying to fix, and I think we've done a good job in terms of alleviating a lot of those friction points.
And does it set you apart from your competitors in your market? Well,
it certainly does. It certainly does. We did a lot of testing with other competitors before we launched, testing those journeys, and there's nobody who's got a journey that sort of is as frictionless as this and as simple, really. I don't, just because it's telco, it shouldn't have to be complicated, right? It doesn't mean telco, which is a technically complicated product, doesn't have to have a complicated journey. So we've taken that out, we've made it really simple. And that's how we think it should go. And innovations that are coming in the next 6 to 12 months will all follow that same blueprint and methodology and thinking.
Okay. And part of your offer includes try before you buy, which is an interesting, reward system, whatever you want to call it. So could you tell us a little bit more about this? Like, do you have any information about the conversion rate, or is it too early to talk about it? Can you share a little bit more about it?
Sure. Look, try before you buy was, I think there are multiple ways to get into a market. Now, one is you can spend a whole lot of marketing money in terms of brand awareness, making sure that there's trust in the brand. And that normally takes up to 6 months to just get the baseline brand awareness. And it costs a hell of a lot of money to get that right. And then you can start to sign up customers and you'll start to get some traction. We took a different approach. We said, let's give the customer the ability to try it, test it for themselves, because there will be low trust because we're a brand new entrant. So let's give them the ability to trust and try it. And then once there's the comfort, they can then convert. So versus saying, geez, I've seen this brand lots and lots of times, I think I can trust it. We're saying, you don't have to trust us, try it. If you like it, then convert. So we're only 3 weeks into the process, but the conversions are great. And it's the feedback we're getting is great. And so the thinking behind it in terms of saying, try it so that you'll trust us and then convert is working. It is working. So let's see in the next 3 months, has there been some abuse? We're monitoring it. And I think we've had 3 cases so far where someone's taken multiple SIMs to get the free data and voice. And there's always going to be those. I've got this very, very strong view on things out there is we're so scared of trying to make the 99% or to simplify 99% of the people's lives because of the 1% who do bad things. So what we end up doing is abusing the 99% because of the 1%. So we have a different view. Let's trust that 99% of the people out there are good and are going to use this for good and then convert, which so far we've seen. And yes, we've seen the 1% who are abusing the system. We're trying and we're flagging it and just blocking their accounts. So I think that's the right approach in this in what we're doing. And as a new brand, I think it's a great strategy. It's not a big acquisition cost, but it does give a high amount of trust and we trust our product so much that we're willing to let you try it for free. And that's the premise behind what we did.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Yeah, and it sounds like it's working as well. Well, we've heard a lot about eSIM over the last sessions, the previous virtual events we did, because, well, eSIM is coming back as a topic after the Apple launch. So what's your eSIM strategy?
We are already busy with that. So we will make sure that, so the roadmap is 1 July for eSIM. And I think the one thing with eSIM where a lot of guys get it wrong is the fact that you cannot download that eSIM directly onto the chip on the device. And you've got this QR code thing. And I mean, it's quite funny. You end up with, a QR code sent to the phone, but now you can't scan the QR because it's impossible. I mean, I was on the way to the MWC summit with a colleague of mine, and he was using another eSIM provider, which gave a QR code. So I had to take a photo of the QR code so he could scan my phone to get his QR code loaded. So it's those kind of user journeys that are just absolutely ridiculous, and we've got to make sure. So part of our journey is to make sure that we can identify that there's an eSIM. If there is, download it directly onto the chip, and then make sure it's installed immediately. So it's taking us a little bit longer because of that, but we want to make sure we get it right. So to answer your question, in short, eSIM is very much an important part of our strategy. Distribution of SIM cards is obviously painful. It's expensive as well. With eSIM, just simplifies all of that. So we're excited to have eSIM, but we want to make sure we get it right and make sure that the journey, UX, UI, all of those things are aligned to our baseline proposition.
Absolutely. Okay, well, the last question I've got here. So what's next in store for Melon Mobile? What are the immediate plans, or the kind of 2 to 3 years plans that you might have?
So the first one is obviously eSIM, as I mentioned. The very next one is family plans or multi-line plans. So the ability for a single user, say a parent, to create a package for themselves, but for a spouse and the children, as an example, and then sharing a single package with multiple lines, and then donating or sponsoring data to all of those lines. So it's nice and simple managed. Every single person will get access to the app, so they can view the utilization, view their data consumption, their voice consumption, and then request more data from the parent or the initial account owner. So that's great. We've also built in the functionality that you can have your own card. So for instance, if you sponsor 2 gigs and 100 minutes, but you now need more data, you can put in your own card and top up yourself. So we think that that's a really nice construct, the family plans and multi-lines. And then just a larger version of that is in October, we're launching what we're calling Melon Business. And Melon Business will then look after the SME market. So it's taking that same multi-line construct, but just in a much bigger form. So that'll all be web-based, same thing, choosing 500 gigs, 5,000 minutes, and 150 employees, and then distributing that data voice down to those employees. So those are the immediate things on our radar, and it's a lot of work with those things. And then we've got a couple of innovations that come after that. But that's the roadmap for this year, and things that we really want to make sure that we deliver on this year.
Well, that's a lot of things already, especially launching
Absolutely.
a B2B business as well. So yeah, well done, and looking forward to hearing more of your success stories. I've got quite a few questions here. So, well, our audience is very active today, which is great. I'll try to answer at least a few. So first one, how important is Wi-Fi integration in your strategy?
So, I mean, if I understand the question, it's probably more along the lines of FMC, so fixed mobile convergence. And I think that's important. We definitely, so it's one of the innovations that will come as well, is building fixed mobile convergence. So the ability to offload, but keeping Melon as your provider throughout the entire process. So whether it's at home or at work or on mobile, you still keep Melon and using the same proposition and constructs that you got, but then be able to roam across all three. So I think it's a really important thing. And I think fixed mobile convergence to date has not taken off because it's just so complex. And I think we've got to find a way to simplify it and make sure it actually works.
Okay. Thank you. And the next one is, how do you model the product offering for user to be essentially able to build their own bespoke package? So flexible product, modern billing, well, we know MVNO nightmare. So how do you do that yourself?
So look, that took a long time, but the slider construct for us was just the most simple way to do that, and making sure that so a lot of guys have done the sort of slider construct, but then the pricing's linear. So whether you buy 1 gig, 5 gigs, or 10 gigs, the pricing's always linear. So we wanted to make sure it wasn't like that, so that at least you did have a bell curve construct. So at 1 gig, it's say 60 Rand, and at 50 gigs, you're getting a substantial pricing discount. So it's important that those things are built into flexible contracts, because otherwise you kind of lose the benefit of that flexibility. So that was really important when we built that.
Okay, thank you. Well, we've got a comment here that someone from the audience really liked your try before you buy offer. So some words of encouragement here. And also another question, are you looking at convergence as well, as you mentioned, and more social sharing across the OmniPlay channels? I believe you mentioned that in your plans,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's the next step you said earlier. Okay,
Definitely.
And another question about I believe this is about the B2B business. So how easy versus difficult it was to set it up while you're doing that now. So are you able to comment a little bit on that?
I think, look, in our research, what we've and even in our launch right now, we're seeing a lot of B2B customers, business customers coming and saying they want this flexibility. How do they get access to it? Now, in a business environment, if you've got 10, 20, or 30 employees, it's still complex, because you've got 30 different packages, even though they're bespoke, across 30 different users. So we had already built and designed the multi-line plan and strategy, so that entire the design was done. So we said, well, why can't we just extend this? So we just took our multi-line strategy for consumer, built it much bigger, applied a few different business rules and things that are more compatible to business, and then built it out. So the baseline architecture was already there, and we've just extended it and made it that much bigger and more flexible to allow for the B2B play. And I think the B2B, interesting enough, there are very, very few B2B MVNOs in the world. So, and I don't really understand why or what the reason for that, and why nobody is actually focused on that area. But I think that the B2B, and specifically the small, medium businesses, have been neglected as a target market. So I think for anybody out there, I think there's a really big opportunity to focus on the SME B2B play as a target market, because consumers are very well looked after. I think enterprise to a large degree are looked after, but the SME play, they tend to be neglected. And their needs are actually pretty simple. Enterprise is pretty complex. They're looking for VPNs and MPLS and SD-WAN and various other pretty complex things, whereas your SMEs are looking for very simple things. It's Wi-Fi, it's mobile connectivity, and control, spend control. If you get those few things right, it doesn't have to be overly complex. So I think that's an important thing to look at.
Well, I think we've got, the questions keep coming, but I think we only have time for one. So something that we have not touched upon earlier about the network. So as we all know, 2G, 3G networks will be removed from the market in the coming years or decades, we'll see. But do you see that affecting your business? Do you have an IMS or voice over LTE offer as well?
Yeah, so we already got voice over LTE built into the platform, so we are utilizing that. But I think the original statement, how long is it going to be phased out? We're seeing a lot of markets, 2G is not being phased out, but 3G is being phased out. So we're keeping the 2G constructs, removing 3G, and then keeping 4G and 5G. So I think different markets, it'll depend. But I think, if you take different types of calling, whether it be WhatsApp calling or, FaceTime or various other things, which ultimately just use voice, the reliance on a VoLTE or voice over Wi-Fi or various other things will diminish, I think, because you've got multiple other forms of being able to call. So I think it'll take time, like you say. Is it 5 years? Is it a decade? What is it? Who knows? And I think it's a hard one from an investment perspective. And I think also, there's talk of 6G. The reality is, I think technology has got to be soft going forward. It can't be hardware changes all the time, because that doesn't add up. And I think because we've got a software-defined platform built on the back of AWS, for us to make these changes significantly easier than someone who's invested in physical hardware throughout their network and architecture. So right now, I don't think it'll affect us, and I think longer term we're well suited for any major changes that come along.
Okay, thank you. Well, I still have 5 more questions, but we'll leave them. So if you're able to stay a little bit longer, you can type in the answers. If not, we'll try to get back to those questions, either in the post-event report or at some other capacity. But thank you very much, Calvin, for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Justina. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much both. Very inspiring session, and customer centricity is definitely a big focus of our MVNOs today. It's time for a very quick poll just before we move to the next session. We would like to introduce the new MVNO Academy. The Academy runs bespoke courses for MVNOs, whether they're inspiring MVNOs or established ones. I would like to highlight the 4-day preparation course, which will help you to understand the full scope of launching an MVNO with lots of hands-on tips, hints, helping you save costs and fine-tune your business plan. So if you would like to hear more, please select I'm interested in a poll that you can see on your screen just now, and we will be able to follow up with more information. Thank you so much. Our final speaker today is Vivek Malhotra, founder of Prune. Vivek will offer an insight into Prune, which offers a wide range of services, including SIM cards, Forex services, bill payments, eSIM activation, and many more. Their goal is to simplify their customers' lives and to become a one-stop shop connectivity platform. So let's hear more. Vivek, a warm welcome, and over to you.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here again to talk about Prune's journey all this while. So let's start with that. If you give me a minute to set up the slides. Yeah. So I think I would like to start with a very inspiring quote from Chairman of Bharti Airtel, Mr. Sunil Bharti Mittal, when he says that technology is something we buy to sell to consumers. Ericsson, Nokia, IBM do technology for living. So let's give it to them because they know the best. It has made the business model of Bharti very, very sustainable. So if we were to kind of just, kind of reappropriate certain words, and this statement could even be very relevant for us, which is network is something we buy to sell to our consumers. And the operators here, in this case, domestic, which is Airtel, Jio, VI, and of course the international operators we deal from a MVNO perspective, do a network for living. So let's give it to them because they know best. It will make the business model, our business model very sustainable. So with this quote, let me kind of jump in and tell you a little bit about Prune's journey all this while, and what does it offer and how do we do it. Before we move to the next slide. Yeah. So Prune, as we like to call it, that we try to make a better connection for the user. It kind of expands into multifaceted services, but essentially we are like a online telecom platform, which the whole idea is that how we can simplify users' journey into connectivity. So moving on to the next slide. So if you see the range of services, what we offer is, of course, from a domestic standpoint, we are like an online reseller for domestic connectivity. But from an international standpoint, we also offer MVNO eSIM, international connectivity eSIMs. We are also providing foreign exchange to travelers who are so our for entry point of identifying such customers, of course, are eSIM or international connectivity, and from there we kind of find out people who could also be interested in foreign exchange, travel insurance, and travel experiences as well, and also to build frequency and frequency on our app. We also have payments. So we are one of the agent institutions of India's premier billing aggregator. It's a government organization. So we partner with them and we kind of enable users to kind of make payments for all the listed billers on their platform. So moving on, so one of our, if I move on to the next slide, yeah. So what does it mean when we say that we provide domestic connectivity? Because from an India context, as per the regulatory requirement, each user KYC has to be done in a physical, in the presence of the customer. So somebody has to go there and do the KYC. So what we do is we essentially we kind of make the whole process, the journey of the user in terms of acquiring a new connection very smooth and very pleasant. So once he orders a connection on our platform, what we essentially do is that we have a team of riders across the geography which we are servicing, and we allocate. So we have the demand side, we have technology for driving consumer demand, and on the supply side, we have technology using to manage the team of delivery partners in terms of allocating the leads, tracking their movement, so as to communicate to the user how soon or in what time the delivery partner is going to come. Today, we are looking at targeting 90 minutes to reach out to the consumer. Once we build efficiency, our goal is to bring this down significantly, and of course, this will both be linked with the number of orders we are able to generate online, and also the kind of quality of training and manpower which we can build at the delivery side. So in addition to buying, since in India domestic connectivity, even if somebody wants a eSIM, the first point of entry remains a physical SIM card. He kind of has to buy a physical SIM card, and I'm saying from a domestic standpoint. And once he buys a new SIM card, he uses that to SMS and request for a eSIM, and that's when he kind of moves into eSIM. So right now, the journey is little, kind of not as smooth from an domestic eSIM standpoint. So what we do is we try to kind of smoothen out the process. And of course, we have to constantly differentiate with with the competition, which competition happens to be the operators themselves. So in addition to better service, better user experience, we also have a rewards program, very comprehensive rewards program, which kind of enables user not only to get rewards for buying new connection from us, but also for as simple as just kind of having our app on and using data. We capture the data, we convert this data usage into points, and those points can be converted into Prune points. So, and that happens for not just for domestic connectivity, voice usage, data usage, eSIM, and of course the other services that I kind of build on them. For example, foreign exchange as well. We get a chance to kind of earn rewards and then use those rewards to buy or get discounts from a reward store. So moving on. Okay, before that, sorry, let me just go back and kind of show you some of our marketing programs which we've been running. So if I play a video, I'll just take a few minutes to play a video and show you. Of course, the screen is going to be a little. So if I can, yeah. Okay. So moving on, so that was about a little bit about how we are kind of driving demand and building awareness on through social media. The other important bit of our story is, of course, the international connectivity. So we are India's first online store in the sense that it's a completely automated experience. As per the regulation in India, all new all international connectivity has to go through a KYC process. So technically, we are all other international eSIMs, which of course a consumer can buy, are not legal. But what we do is that we give a chance to consumer to, of course, choose the country plan, and then based on that we do an online KYC for him, which means that he kind of uploads the documents. There are 3 documents which are required, and we verify those documents are verified, and once the payment is done, the customer can go ahead and we send him the eSIM immediately. So depending on how much time he takes in terms of uploading the documents, but technically as less as about 2-3 minutes, like any other eSIM provider. But this has an additional built-in step of KYC as well, because it kind of that's the regulated requirement, and therefore we have to meet that requirement. So let me just also kind of play a video here in terms of how we are kind of building awareness on this aspect. So here goes the video.
Hey, why are you carrying a SIM?
Smoking is only permitted in the specified smoking area.
You may need all these things, but you don't need a SIM.
Get an eSIM for your international travels, visit the website or download the app.
Yeah, thank you. So that's how that's what we're doing from a eSIM perspective. But in addition to like any other telco app, consumer can get insights. In fact, more than that, consumer can get insights on his network usage quality, both for data and voice. And we're taking it to the next level. We are using maps to identify areas where he has used it and kind of build insights for him to be able to make better choices. In addition to network quality, we also give him a tap on data usage as well, data and mobile usage. He's able to see a very detailed insight into how much data consumption he's done, and how, and kind of a tool for him to measure what really or how much he really wants to kind of put a control on that. Now, with, of course, with data costs and generally the cost of ownership of mobile is one of the lowest across the world. But despite that, I think the costs have gone up at least 2.5 times in last about 3 years, and they expect it to go up even further. While they will continue to be one of the lowest, but I think there is increasing consciousness getting built, and that's the reason you're seeing some of the OTT players in the, let's say, the larger video market becoming very aware of the problem and trying to come around solution as to how to overcome higher cost of data in a very low cost market like India. So this is what we kind of do from a insights perspective. So moving ahead to the next slide. Yeah, okay. So just to give you an insight, who is currently buying for us? So by gender, about 40% of our customers are women customers, and 60% are men. But there's a very interesting perspective here, is that typically, while of course technically the usage among telcos between the two genders would be kind of similar or same, but the actual ownership of connections by females would be significantly lower, because today they end up buying connections through in the name of their husband, brothers, fathers, etc., because accessibility of connectivity is a challenge. But what we are trying to do is kind of breaking that digital divide as well, because there are more women coming on our platform to order connection, because we kind of give them freedom to be able to make the choices in terms of what connectivity, and of course with mobile becoming very critical, from a lot of financial transaction perspective, in terms of OTP, the ownership of the connection in the name of the user is very important, and therefore, I think it's a new freedom we bring to this segment of the users. And of course, if you see from a young age perspective, nearly 70% of our users are under the age of 35 years of age. So essentially targeting the younger generation, in terms of getting a new connectivity. So that's a mix of customer, how we are. And from a while of course at one level we compete with telcos in terms of how consumer is making a choice which platform he chooses to buy his connection. But at another level, when a customer buys connectivity even through the operators channels, digital channels, we are kind of enabling the delivery of those SIM cards for them as well. So because we have a very very robust technology which is kind of uh, which kind of creates deep insights for the user and for the of course the telco to be able to be ensured and to be have more trust on each and every lead which gets closed. There is a definite information or action which has happened and which is trackable, is what we kind of bring to the table for them. So this is a little bit about our customers. So kind of moving on. Yeah, to the next slide. So of course, well, of course, being a premier brand for being the first choice for buying connectivity online. In addition to that, we provide a great opportunity for our customers for because it largely remains a physical SIM market for SIM replacements, etc. So those things which took a few hours to go to a particular store, get the necessary actions in, we kind of do it from the at the consumer's place at a far more efficient way, at their time and choice, and as per whatever the KYC norms the telco is kind of subscribed. So that's an area which we think we kind of truly building a brand so that the consumer can trust us from not just buying a connection, but even for the service which or rather key elements of the service, but of course not all, is what we kind of help them with. The other area we are now getting it is Wi-Fi aggregation. So we are one of the few license holders from the in the regulatory standpoint, where we kind of aggregating Wi-Fi hotspots and trying to kind of enable them on our app, which means then when you go look for a network on our app, if you find one of our networks on around you, you could simply kind of go there, choose a plan you want to buy, make the payment, and we will give you access to this thing. So it could be as low as few cents, right, or for about 1 hour or so. Our focus remains on large CBD areas, commercial business districts, and key points of aggregation where we could use. But of course, it could be spread all across the country. The hotspot owner just has to buy the router through us, and we are part of the government's program of what's called the PM1E, Prime Minister Wireless Access Network Interface Program. So we continue to be there. And of course, devices is the next play area where we currently provide insights to the user in terms of helping choose them the right network. But I think we're coming, we want to come and play a big role from a bundled handset point of view, so that India is not largely a bundled market, but we see early green shoots of market moving there. So I think that's an area of opportunity. And recently we have kind of added consumables, mobile consumables to our portfolio. So our delivery partners also carry chargers, cables, batteries. So what online players like Amazon or the other big player in India is Flipkart take about next day to deliver. We're looking at delivering the same thing in 90 minutes today, but hopefully reduce that time even further, because those are things which are needed in emergency, or they are a planned purchase. Of course, we not only match the prices what are offered on let's say Amazon, but we kind of do it much faster, because our store, rather our warehouses are the bags of our delivery partners, so they just kind of go there. So when a consumer kind of searches for searches for a consumable, we find the closest driver who has that particular stock. He goes there, or we find somebody else. In a worst case scenario, if we find that the particular stock is not available with any closed, that's when we kind of deliver it, maybe next day. But then in that case, the delivery charges are kind of waived for the user. So that's broadly about it. Moving on. Yeah. So like I was saying, in addition to what we do from a telco standpoint, there are a few other interesting things we do, which is one is from a travel experiences point of view. So we aggregate all the travel experiences or things to do when somebody travels from across the world and consumer can buy. Our idea is to kind of target the bottom of the funnel, meaning when a consumer buys a eSIM, we know he's a potential for consumer for experiences or travel insurance, and we kind of target them using that particular opportunity. And same is the case with like I said, insurance and foreign exchange. And there is of course to kind of build give a seamless experience to a telco user. We also have bill payments because we feel that's a great tool to kind of help retain the user longer throughout this particular network, and I think build a preference for us from a telco standpoint. They understand that we acquire better quality customers for them, and we kind of stay longer on the network. So that's from our other things we do. And moving on. Yeah. So we have, we've heard the earlier speakers talk about what really is the opportunity in terms of whether to buy a pre-packaged solution versus building on our own. We chose to build this on our own because we thought, I think, the kind of flexibility we need because we don't have the leverage of a telco. I think we will have to create a better experience, and therefore we need a far greater control on technology, and that's why we kind of build the in-house stack of complete consumer side technology, which kind of manages the whole journey for the user. And of course, there are the other sides, which is marketing. We feel that with brand playing a very key role in terms of building preference for the user. From day one, we've been kind of focused in terms of communicating a standard message to the consumer, so that we become a preferred choice of destination from a connectivity standpoint. And then, of course, like we said, there's a supply side, which is the delivery team, a whole battery of delivery team. And I think in the last few months, what we have done is that we've kind of built a very strong focused supply side, which means that our ability to now roll out into other cities, and we feel there could be another 30 cities in India which have a strong appetite for digitally driven demand, and we hope to cater to that market pretty soon. So that's really the kind of and then of course we play a very significant role from a content standpoint. We're generating content with the consumer is both long format and short format snackable content with a user is kind of searching. We kind of build value to him by providing that information, and then of course kind of use that as an opportunity to kind of introduce our products and therefore also sell our products there to him. So moving on, this just gives you an idea. We are talking of about an $85 billion opportunity. The addressable market is what I meant across all the segments which we have across the platform. So that's kind of listed there just for a reference. Yeah, so we can move on from there, and that I think is my last slide. Thank you so much. I'm happy to take any questions or clarify any further point. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vivek. We have a couple of questions. I'm just scrolling through them. We have a question from Peter. Customers with only 2G, 3G data enabled devices is a challenge. How do you see 2G, 3G network sunset affecting data usage?
So I think already we are moving to a stage where 3G is almost sunset in our country. All the data network technically is either on 4G and there are some parts which are moving to 5G. But that process, I think there are some about 100,000 sites currently being rolled out in about last 6 months or so. That speed should pick up, but I think there is paucity of applications for 5G. The consumer is not seeing the kind of traction, that excitement which was there earlier for 5G. That kind of is kind of missing for a while, and I think that is also seen if you see the kind of handset vendors. I think MI in last month released some 3 new handsets. None of them were 5G. So I think there is a little bit of a bottleneck, and I think we've seen that earlier when the 4G was kind of evolving. Answering your question, I think the data market is essentially a 4G market today. 2G is there because there is a large still population of feature handsets which are being used for mobile, and I think we, along with the operators, I think have great opportunity in migrating those feature-led handsets into smartphones, and then kind of graduate them into data consumption as well.
Thank you. Are you open for connectivity partnerships for international eSIM or physical SIM providers?
Yeah. So we are always open for such an opportunity, and because essentially our desire is to provide better connectivity at more economical cost. If I was to give you a background, well, of course we are one of the first eSIMs, brand selling eSIMs in the country from an international standpoint. But the market essentially is a physical SIM market. There are other operators who are doing physical SIM connectivity. So they have the volume on their side, so they have better rates. So I think our effort is to how do we find better partners who can give us better rates to be able to compete with such people and therefore drive volumes from there.
Thank you. Another question, what about dormant user base? Do you see a lot of purchases but low usage?
So essentially, see, we are driving demand among the digitally conscious user. So somebody who's already using, but of course, among these users, they have a need for multiple SIM cards or a second SIM card or a third SIM card. That we do. I don't think so. When you're a digital first brand, because we're really not a telco in that sense. We don't have access to that information. But yes, going forward, the acquisitions which happen through us, because we are into bill payments, we have insights on the billing or the payment behavior. We are trying to, improve, low usage or zero usage customers, and so that if you can kind of retain on the network. But our efforts, unlike any traditional, physical store which is kind of selling SIM card, they don't bother about, retaining a customer. I think we are consciously different. We want to also help user, use his existing connection. If there is a problem, we can help him solve, come back to it. We are happy to do that because that's where the relationship is going to be built. That is the consumer is going to come back to us in future for his all connectivity needs.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. The next question, what are the international travel eSIM adoption rates in India that you've seen? Considering eSIM compatible Apple and high-end Samsung smartphones are less than 5% of the market.
Yeah, so of course, that's really the challenge we are kind of facing, because the penetration is lower generally. It's even lower in our market. But the fact remains is that the convenience of being able to, move to a new handset or addressing that particular market, I think the digital channels provide us that opportunity, especially the social media, to identify users by devices. So we can, kind of economize our cost by only reaching out to those people who have the devices and are likely to travel abroad. That's the strategy we're following. But of course, that's a universal challenge till we get to a time where eSIM is far more, or the handsets, compatible handsets are a little more in numbers. I think till then we will have to play a role of kind of building the ecosystem, and that's where we feel that's the reason we also have a devices play as well, wherein if we find an opportunity to build the two together, we will use that. And that's also the reason, we not just eSIM, we also have, let's say, foreign exchange or travel insurance or travel experiences. We will like to use any of that hook to get the customer on us, and then, of course, kind of sell it. But of course, I mean, as a brand, we are a premium brand. We will want to build a preference among people who are likely to be are either a 5G handset owner or likely to be a 5G owner. That's the preference with, that's how that's how we see the journey of our brand going forward.
Thank you. Another question, what sort of DPI happens, and does India allow a lot of customer information collection to predict behavior?
I'm sorry, what is DPI?
DPI? Not sure. So what we can ask the maybe the person who asked the question to elaborate a little bit more, so we can dive into detail on that.
So there is a let me answer to the extent I've understood the question from a data privacy standpoint or a customer information privacy perspective. It's a very strong very strong, what should I say, infrastructure with the government has kind of built. We have something called a unique identity number, right? Which is the basis of buying a new connection. And that is used either as a biometric, user can go, or I mean, one of our partners can go and he can use a fingerprint to buy a new connection, or he has to enter a particular his ID, and that for telcos and for banking system, the government has given special leeway so that they can dip into that database and check the ownership of the or the right user is being approached. So I think that ecosystem has already been built. What we do is essentially eKYC. There is no physical document. There is absolutely no involvement of physical aspect from a document standpoint. The user's either pictures or fingerprints or the unique ID is used to activate his number. So of course, yeah, it's possible to do it digitally. I think the regulations are evolving. We feel that I think in a few months, self KYC should come into play, but for a physical SIM card, delivery would still be required. So in that case, our role in these contexts will be more delivery of the SIM cards, while the customer has done. We take him through a self KYC process. I think that should happen in about a few months' time, if I've got the question right.
Deep packet inspection. Thank you so much for all of the comments.
Okay.
The deep packet inspection for different plans. Example, social media.
Right. I think that kind of thing does not exist right now. This market is more per day gigs allocation quota every day. In the case of prepaid, because prepaid is essentially about 98, 95, 99% of the market. For postpaid, it's now opening up. The quotas are more monthly in nature, but there are regulations which do not allow telcos to have preferred speeds for certain digital destinations or portals. So that is not kind of allowed here.
We've got lots of questions, but we're running a little bit late. So let's take one final question, and what we're going to do, we're going to go back to our attendees with answer by email. The final question, more coming in. What is the current state of MVNO ecosystem in India? Are MNOs open to having partnerships and wholesale agreements with MVNOs?
Yeah, so from a domestic standpoint, the regulatory environment is not conducive for an MVNO right now. So what happens, and what happens is that essentially, so let's say there is a license fee of 7%, which the MNO has to do. When he kind of wholesales the wholesales, and then the MNO kind of comes into play, that 7% kind of get levied again on the MNO as well. So essentially an MNO ends up paying 14% license fee versus a 7% license fee for a MNO. So I think those discrepancies are kind of crept into the system. I think they are there, and that's the reason there is no MVNO, and that's the reason we kind of chose to be a reseller, because MVNO, you don't get you have a strong pricing disadvantage, and that's the reason, but I think moving forward, we have moved from a 14-player market to essentially about 3 or 4 right now. I think there is this is the right time where the MVNO market should open up and provide users, about another 6-7 MVNOs, some regional, some national. But yeah, there is a big play opportunity, but at this point of time, as we speak, not too conducive from a regulatory standpoint.
Thank you so much, Vivek. Much appreciated. Thank you for all of the questions from our audience as well. We will come back to you by email. Thank you, Vivek, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you so much. Pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
It was our final session. It's time to close the event. I would like to thank you all for joining in and remind you about the second part of this event taking place on the 24th of May, where we will have some more MVNO business models presented, including those that tackle issues related to sustainability and social inclusion. So we hope to see you then. We will be sharing the recording of this event with you shortly, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. Goodbye for now.